Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Grown Ass Kids Club podcast, where the treehouse is always open, but the adulthood is optional. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Andrea.
And we are taking a little tram ride into the Universal Studios.
We're taking a 14-hour flight over to Tokyo to then get on a smaller plane to go to Osaka.
Yes, we learned last time that it is Osaka, not Osaka.
Be insufferable to your American friends.
Yeah, show your friends how cultured you are and say it the right way. But
exactly.
Yes, we're going to hear about Andrea's, part of your trip to Japan, the Universal Studios aspect of it. Yes. And I'm going to spend some time going into the history of Universal Studios, more geared towards Florida because there are multiple, but obviously it started in Hollywood and then Florida. I mean, I've only been to the Florida one, and that's where like my memories of it exist. So curious in this fun little adventure we're going to take. Have you been to Universal Studios in Hollywood or Florida or both?
I've been to the one in Florida, and then I filmed on the Universal lot in LA, but I never went to the park there. But people did look at us on the tram, and I'm like, I'm nobody, don't worry.
Yes, no, the tram.
They would look at you to be like, are you somebody I should care about? And I'm like, no.
You should have just put sunglasses and like they would have been like, she's famous.
Right. But I hadn't been to the one in Florida since I was like 17. So I know a lot has changed.
Yeah.
When was the last time you went to the one in
I think the last time I went to Florida was, I think it would have been 2019 maybe.
Oh, not that long ago.
Yeah, not that long. Or maybe did I do it again after? I can't remember. My sister did it. But prior to that, I had been a couple years, like 2017, 2018, so I'd done it. But prior to that, I don't think I had been to it since like 1997 or 8. And that was when it was sort of like the classic Universal Studios, Orlando, which we'll talk about, like those original rides that some of them are not really, I don't think most of them are there anymore. So yeah, I've been to the newer version of it and I've been to the older version. I have thoughts about both of them, but I think starting the origins of Universal. So we can't have the Universal theme parks without Universal Pictures, Universal Studios. Mm-hmm. And Universal Pictures was founded by an immigrant from Germany who came over in the late 1800s. And then by, I think, 1912, he founded Universal Pictures, and his name is Carl Laemmle.
Oh.
And I feel like when he started Universal, Hollywood wasn't really Hollywood like it is now. It was just, everything was new in movies. Like this is still like silent films and things like that. Like they're experimenting, like what is a movie? Like what do people want to watch? Like what are we doing? And so what the big idea that Carl Laemmle had was he wanted to make the studio into an attraction, which at the time the public wasn't part of this. Like movies were made separately and the public just saw the movie. But now with Universal, he's like, oh, why don't we bring people into the studio and let them watch movies being made, which gives me anxiety thinking about if they did that now.
Oh my God.
Like so intense. So in
well, maybe certain people would be on their best behavior then. So
we can't. America, we can't. We can't have nice things here.
We can't have nice things.
1915, Universal opens what's called Universal City. So in 1915, Laemmle, he opens the Universal Studios Hollywood, which is like the world's largest motion picture production facility at that time. Mm-hmm. And this is outside LA. And they kind of always promoted it like a tourist destination. You could do a studio tour. You could come to the studio, you got lunch, you got access to the studio, and then you had a chance to see something being filmed or being in progress. And guess how much that costs? You get lunch, the tour, you get to see something filmed. Guess how much that costs? It is 1915. How much do you think a
Okay.
ticket cost?
Um, $2.
Too high. Too high.
I knew it was going to be too high. Okay, 50 cents.
Close, but still too high.
45 cents.
Yeah, 25 cents. 25 cents.
Oh my lord.
I know,
Well,
imagine.
if those people saw the amount we're paying for eggs these days and
It would just
oil,
explode.
they would explode. Yes.
Yes. And so for people like, obviously there's no internet or like any way to see behind the scenes. So it's like, this is something if you get to do and tell your friends, you're like, oh my God,
Right.
you saw like a movie being made? Like, what is that? We don't even have camera, or we have cameras, but we don't have like a way to easily show people pictures and things and videos of things. So getting to see like actors and people in costumes and sets and things, people are just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. So it's also very chaotic because it's not like he's not a theme park person. They obviously didn't have theme park designer. Like this is not a thing. So they're not bringing
Right.
in experts being like, oh, you want to do a theme park? Here's how we need to do it. So it's very chaotic. Like you just have movies being shot and people wandering around with their lunches being like, I'm here to watch, it's like a free for all. But I think still at the same time, like if you imagine that happening now, it would be absolutely chaotic. It would be terrible. I feel like then people were people were more respectful, like behavior and everything was just different, but it's
Hmm.
still chaotic, very
Sure.
chaotic.
I mean, I think so much of it is contending with sound too, right?
Yes,
Like
right.
sound is like the perfect conditions that you want to get. So not having to worry about that. You're just like, all right, well, if someone's shouting, who the fuck cares? You
Yeah,
know?
you can't mess up like a shot with your voice. I mean, you could distract the act, somebody looks or like, what
Sure.
was that? But yeah, true. Your sound, the sound is not being affected. So are we getting to around like the 1920s and 40s, and Universal starts getting into the monsters, which is very
Mm,
big in the theme park. So this is like Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. These are like the legendary Universal monster movies. And these really make Universal the movie magic studio, as they call, which is sort of the idea behind the theme park is like it's all movie magic. So I think you can still see this in the parks today because they obviously rely heavily on their IP, which is recognizable, like these monster movies,
right.
cinematic universes, spectacle. So all of that is really starting here in like the 20s, the 30s with these monster movies. And that's definitely something you see in the parks. So even when they stopped doing these Universal tours, because they eventually stopped them, and but over the decades, like tram tours and things like that evolved. Guests are People are starting to become more interested in being immersed in worlds, things like that. So of
Hmm.
course we've got, you know, Disney's going to be coming out soon, but with Disney, and we talked about this in our Shrek episode, Disney very carefully like curates things for you. They're
Right.
like, this is Adventureland. It looks like this. You're going to only hear this type of music in Adventureland. And it's very, every little detail down to the leaves that are in Adventureland are specific to that.
Right.
But Universal is a little more like, hey, come see how this is all done. So it's very like, I don't want to say messy, but it's just more of a hodgepodge of like, you're at a studio lot. So you turn the corner and here's Transformers. Oh, but then over here is, ET. Like it's not so
Hodgepodge is definitely a good way to describe it, I would
yeah,
say.
it's like you're at a big movie studio lot and it's like they're doing this over here, they're doing this over there. It's not so much about like you're immersed in the worlds of a movie.
Hmm.
You step into like the sound stage of the movie and it's like you're part of the filming. Um, which is argue I don't know if they still adhere to that as much as they did back then, but in the 50s and 60s people are starting to go to Hollywood more. There's a lot of tourism. People are starting getting into celebrity culture, like behind the
Right.
scenes stuff. So then Universal's like, hey, the studio actually is the big attraction. So they launched the modern tram tour at Hollywood. And this is basically considered the birth of the modern Universal theme park experience. And this big tram tour included a fake disaster recreation,
Mhm.
which we still see there, Western sets, collapsing bridges, special effects. There's a tour guide who's comedic with you. So you sort of see like this is sort of like the beginnings of like, oh, this is what it's like for it to be sort of a theme park. And like we said, Disney is very into like the fantasy escapism. You're out, you're not in the real world, you're in these, fairy tale. Universal is like, oh, these are movies, come be part of the action, it's spectacle, you've got backstage access, you're witnessing things being filmed. So it's really about coming into Hollywood. So in 1964 we talked about the modern tram tour that officially launches then. And that is the birth of the Universal Studios Hollywood as a theme park. People love seeing the props, the sets, the special effects. And I mentioned there was the flash flood. It was
Mhm.
basically a fake flood rushing towards the tram, which is funny because
Scary.
scary, but and I was gonna I'll bring this up a little bit, but Disney does something very similar when MGM Studios
Yes.
opened, and
Mhm.
there's a reason why. So jumping back to Universal, they also do the earthquake effect where the subway station collapses. That was like
Right. I
a ride.
remember that. Mhm.
Um, and we eventually get things like Jaws, where like the shark attacks the boat, things like that. And yeah, so this is really part of the explosion of like the 80s, 90s when Universal's like, "Oh, people want these rides based on movies."
Right.
So, we're getting Back to the Future, which was like a motion simulator ride. E.T., which is one of the probably only or few remaining rides at Universal that's actually one of the original.
Mhm.
And Steven Spielberg is very passionate about it. I think he has said that they have to keep that ride in Universal. Like, they can never remove it, or he'll like, I don't know what he'll do.
He
Never
gets a
make a
ton of
movie.
money. He gets
Yeah,
money on the tickets, like, from people going into Universal, so
I
he's got a
know.
stake in it.
Yeah, I know he's like they can never remove it.
I
And
don't want them
then
to either, I'll be
I don't
honest.
either. I love that it's. I mean, obviously you go on it and it's a very uh
Dated.
dated, aged, dark ride, but I think it's charming, it's cute, it's very nostalgic, and it is
Yeah.
what, Universal, that's what I remember Universal, like those original rides, Jaws, Earthquake, ET, the King
Yeah.
Kong ride, not the one they have now, the one where you were like King Kong like picked you up in the tram car
Oh, yeah.
and then you saw like it was just they were just like they really felt like you were like on movie sets.
Right.
um, and I feel like now the rides are a little more modern. But Jurassic Park, we get a little bit of the I would say that's a little more immersive. Like you step into the gates and there's dinosaurs in the trees, um, and I just feel like Universal really challenged Disney. I think they brought the thrill to Orlando. Disney
Yeah.
is not super thrill.
Well, I remember being at Universal the first time when I was a teenager, and it was like the rides actually like went upside down.
Hmm.
And yeah, like um you could there was drinking at the time. I don't think that outside of certain restaurants you couldn't drink at Walt Disney World,
Yeah.
at most of the areas. And here it was like you it reminds me of this thing that a guy said to my sister once when she was in Key West. He's like, "Bring that cigarette on in here. Ain't gotta do shit, ain't gotta buy shit."
Oh
Like,
my.
that's how I feel like.
Yeah. They're like, "You can do whatever you want here, it's fine."
Whatever you want. We're not Disney. Come on in, like,
Yes.
um, yeah, but I think you're right. Like, it was like, and they even had a campaign a few years ago where it was like, oh, when your kid is getting older and they're ready to really have a thrill, like, and they're done with you know who,
Right.
like, come to Universal,
They're
you
like,
know?
"Everyone's 18 here."
Right.
"Come, take your top off. No worries. We've got free lockers for you to put that top in."
If you don't take your top off, some lady in a towel is going to come in and scold you.
Yeah, someone's gonna rip it off for you, so take it off. Um, yeah, so this was all taking place in Hollywood. So Orlando
Right.
comes in 1990, but if you remember, Disney MGM Studios opened in 1989. So right
Mhm.
before them. However, um they were trying to compete with Walt Disney World because they're like, Orlando's got Disney World. Like, how can we get into this space? What can we do? So they had been pitching the idea of this park, which would be a studio tour style park with the themed rides and the tram tours and all that. They had been pitching it around to, I think they wanted to partner with another entertainment company to help them, finance do this. Michael Eisner used to be a former Paramount CEO. So then he came over to Disney and allegedly, people
Mm.
believe that he had seen the ideas for this Universal Park. And when he was at Disney, was like, hey, we got to build this because they're going to be doing this. Because when you
Right.
think about MGM, it is basically Disney's version of a Universal, at
It
least its
is.
original.
Well, it did. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
not
Mhm.
anymore, but
No.
it had the tram tour with the
The back
water.
lot.
Yeah, the backlot
Mhm.
tour showing you sets, props, costumes. It had some comedy. It had the catastrophe canyon with the water rushing towards you.
Yeah, it had where like women were actively, sorry, they were usually women making costumes. Like they
Yes.
would go through that tunnel and then it would show you like costumes from previous productions that they had.
Yep. And they
Um
used to actually, it didn't last very long because both parks, both Universal and Disney tried this, where they're like, this is an active studio. Things will be shot here.
mhm.
So I remember at MGM, you could watch Adventures in Wonderland was filmed there. I specifically remember,
Yes.
and Mickey Mouse Club. And
Mhm.
Adventures in Wonderland, they had like catwalks that you could walk up above and see them filming. And I don't remember ever doing it because I don't think it lasted too long before they ended up moving like to LA. I think everybody
Right.
just I think it was just cost and nobody was interested in filming things in Orlando, so it didn't pan out well, but I loved the idea.
Yeah, it's cool, but maybe not everybody needs to be seeing how the sausage is made.
Universal Orlando Resort opens in 1990 and people love it, but like what they also would say about MGM or Hollywood Studios, they're like, this is cool, but it's a 1 day park. It's like you don't need to do anything. You like, I would even argue sometimes a half-day park for Hollywood Studios, depending on what
Mhm.
you're into. Um, and so Universal is like, we need to step up the game. And this is where I think they really start um, I feel like they start exceeding Disney because they
Okay.
open in 1999. They do Islands of Adventure, and this was a little
Yeah.
more thrill focused. They've got a Marvel superhero island. They have the Jurassic Park. They have a Dr. Seuss. They have Toon Lagoon. This is where they stopped sort of doing the studio feel, and it was more like a destination place to stay at hotels. You could stay there, and then you got to experience all these great rides, and they're a little more thrilling. Then the big thing that happened in 2010, which I think is when they really just rival Disney in a big way. What franchise do you think came into the park that just really, I feel like, exploded? Um,
The Fast and the Furious?
no, no. I'm like, Fast and I don't like that ride.
Oh, Harry Potter?
Yes.
Okay.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, they opened the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and honestly, I think it skyrocketed Universal because when I remember going to that for the first time, when you went into like, they had the Hogwarts thing, but then when they also opened Diagon Alley,
Mhm.
that was like, I mean, you felt like you were in that. Like the theming, the details. I remember being like, this is like giving Disney a run for its, design. I was like, this is Disney level design and detail.
Right.
And it it changed. It just became fully immersive. You can buy wands, you can explore Hogwarts, you can do the ride inside the castle, drink the butterbeer, and then you sort of see Disney retaliate again, not retaliate, but sort of take action, and they quickly put out
These are men. They're retaliating.
yeah,
This is mostly men.
everyone pulled their pants down and was like, "All right, whose dick is the biggest here?"
If
And
we learned anything from how fucking DreamWorks came together with Jeffrey Katzenberg in our previous episode, they were bitter Bettys. Okay.
yes. So Disney quickly puts out Pandora, Avatar. Then we've
Right.
got Galaxy's Edge. They're like, all right, let's put out these worlds. They do it quickly. I think Disney, I mean, they're both major studios, but for some reason, I feel like Disney can just put things out, but not always to the best of success, as we saw when they did the immersive Star Wars Star Cruiser Hotel, RIP.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and then of course in 2001, Universal Studios Japan opens, and
Hmm.
so here we are.
Here we
Andrea's
are.
been to Universal Studios Japan, so in all the things we've talked about, the sort of
Hmm.
studio feel merging into the thrill feel, where where does Japan sit? Is it like Orlando? Is it its own thing? Like, what was sort of your experience with that?
Well, I'll say, yeah, you touched on quite a few things that were present, that are present obviously at Universal Japan. Um, I will say, in comparison to what I remember about Universal Orlando, it is a like square foot, square mile wise. It is a small park. This is
Mm,
a small park. And when you said that thing about it being a one day park, I I won't bury the lead. Like, I think one could say that Universal Japan is a one day park, if not for Super Nintendo World there.
mhm.
Um, but uh what I here are my takeaways. First of all, let me start off real positively because Reed and I went to Tokyo over a year ago and we had a not so great experience at Tokyo Disney Sea, which resulted in us not going to Tokyo Disneyland the next day because we were just so frustrated. I'm here to tell you that I think Universal um, Japan in Osaka is much better operated, but it also feels like Universal has is in control of it,
Mhm.
as opposed to the Oriental Land Company, which has the biggest stake in Tokyo Disney.
Yeah.
Um, so we noticed the experience of like getting the tickets and like the flow of everything was much better and probably like a little more akin to like how it's been in the States. The staff there are so nice. Everybody waves to you and says konnichiwa, like, and everyone is so nice. The park is so clean, but it's a small park. Like, I was like, oh, they squeeze things
Yeah.
in here. I should say beforehand, so we bought our tickets on Klook, which is a website. It's almost like Undercover Tourist that they
Okay.
use
Yeah.
in Orlando, which I've never used before. I've always bought directly in the States, but the credit card issues we were having resulted in us having to use Klook, which happens to a lot of like US folks in terms of the credit cards that we have. So we went on there and you can go on Klook and you can, um, we bought tickets for 2 days. We're like, we're going to go for 2 days to like really take our time.
Yeah.
And you can go on there and buy the express passes and they break them down. Like there'll be a number next to it, say 4, which means you want to go on, you can have express to 4 different rides, like premium rides on there. So we got the one that has the most because Reed really wanted to go to and spend quality time in Super Nintendo World.
Yeah.
Um, so it gave us right away a thing on there where it was like, oh, we have a check-in time when we can go into Super Nintendo because we similar to Fantasy Springs, which is in Tokyo Disney Sea, you have to like have a certain ticket
Right.
to get into it. But yeah, so they had it the first day we were there to go in Super Nintendo World. They had a time thing where we had to come in then. So we had to like wait online. It wasn't open to everyone. But then the next day we went in because it was a lighter day and it was open to everyone. Anyone could go in. And that was a very interesting like experience to have. But yeah, I'm mentioning Super Nintendo World so much just because it was like where we wanted to go first, and that was when I first noticed how smushed
Mm.
the park is. It's Super Nintendo World is just like it's on top of you. Like you go in, you enter, it's so cool. The theming is so cool. Everything looks so amazing. But you go in and then you look down to a crevasse
Yeah.
below, and that's where so you've gone up this thing and now you have to go down, and it's just there's just a lot of bottlenecking
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
area, which is fine. Everyone was incredibly polite and like it's totally fine. But yeah, they really smushed a lot in there. Same for when you were talking about Diagon Alley and Hogwarts, like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's very squeezed in
Yes.
there. Very, and I can't be thinking that this is how it is at Universal in California or Orlando. I got to think they just have more access to um more land, you
Yeah.
know. You also have to remember like we're in a proper city where
Yeah.
like they can't just like build out as much as they want, like they're very restricted in that way as opposed to like Disney World and Universal are just being built on these huge plots of land,
Swamp.
like compounds,
Yes.
kibbutzes.
Yes.
Um, so I would say that like that's the thing is like we took the subway,
Yeah.
to go to Universal, which was like super easy. We didn't stay. There are a few hotels there on the city walk, like, but we didn't stay there, and it didn't feel like we had to.
Right.
Like, it didn't
Yeah.
feel like that was necessary. But I think if we went back to Tokyo Disney, that's necessary. Like, I'll
Yes.
never do it again where I don't stay at a hotel, at least for the night that
Right.
I'm doing it. Um, so yeah, it was pretty squeezed in there. And that brings me to a point that I would like to tell folks to prepare for. If you are a tall person, or if you are a person like me that has a huge ass and big old thighs, um, the staff would see us coming in, Reed and I, and would put us in the tester seat.
Oh, really?
And it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I will, because we saw they were small. Like, let's say it out loud. Generally, this was something we came up against everywhere in both Japan and in South Korea, is that routinely Japanese people and Korean people have smaller frames.
Uh-huh.
That is just the case. We went to a baseball game, and this, like, I swear to God, I felt like I was going to get up and the seat was going to come with me. Like, it
Yeah.
was suctioned to my ass. Sitting on the bus, like, I just have really, like, they're not used to people that have big butts. And then Reed had a problem too because he was so tall. Reed almost
Yeah.
hit his head on door frames like several times during this vacation.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was happening here. We saw it happening to other people as well that appeared to not be from like Japan or neighboring countries. Um, and they handled it very kindly, but like it was like a little bit of a shock at first. And it made me think of, like I'm not the fattest person I've ever seen in my entire life. Um, but it's making me think of the plus size park goers. Like there's a huge, I'm sure
Mm.
you've seen, there's a huge corner of the internet dedicated to the these specifically women that are
Yeah.
going and right. I'm assuming that you've followed them before.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, these people would not be able to go on rides. Like I was
Yeah.
barely able to go to because they wanted the bar so far down, and my thighs are just like really big. And so it was like I was having a little bit. Now that happened specifically on Flight of the Hippogriff
Okay.
at Harry Potter World, and that ride was also like kind of lame.
Isn't that one geared towards like kids more?
It feels, it's a very out of the box, like, I wouldn't say it's like that dragon roller coaster you go to on
Right.
the fair,
Right.
but it's like Barnstormer, but maybe a little, like just a little longer. Like that's how I describe it. There's nothing like you see a hippogriffin, like that's literally it. Like I'm sorry to
Right.
break it to you. Um, yeah, like Reed's legs were they we it was looking like Reed's and us sitting next to each other, we were not helping each other
Right.
like with our situation, like his long legs and then my thighs and then wanting the bar to go down.
Right.
So that, just prepare yourself for that. Like I made it onto every single ride. I just want to say that, but by the skin of my teeth.
Mhm.
Like, um, yeah, and it's just like I'm a very agile, like I'm just like I'm a bouncy lady. Like that's it. And I'm just like I can't believe that the so many of the elements of America have made it over here except for that.
I know.
Like
Yeah,
they've not accounted for fat Americans.
cuz definitely Orlando, that's I feel like the rides are specifically made to be like accommodate everybody.
Yeah. Then we went on Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, which is like very screen dependent, or I'd say it's like maybe like 50% screen
Yeah.
dependent. We both got like motion sick on it, I would say. So, and Reed is a much bigger Harry Potter fan than I am. And he was like, I'm kind of disappointed. He's like, I won't
Okay.
lie. And yeah, it was like really tiny,
Mhm.
squeezed in there. I mean, the theming was really cool. Like it was really amazing. What they were able to do was amazing, but I would say the rides were like it didn't it didn't match the atmosphere
Okay.
and the theming. Um I will say something very funny. Do you know Moaning Myrtle?
Yeah. The bathrooms.
And okay, does this happen, I guess, in okay. She's only in the women's bathroom,
Okay.
which because I asked Reed, did you hear her in the men's? And he said no. But
Okay.
it's because in the film, Moaning Myrtle is only in the women's bathroom.
Yeah.
Um, the way, so she's speaking in Japanese in it. And it was like, if I felt like it made her for some reason sound more horny. I don't know why, but I was like, I mean, her name is Moaning Myrtle to begin with,
Mhm.
but I think because I couldn't understand, like, I didn't understand Japanese, that it like made it like sound like she's like, "Woo," and I'm just like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, but I did love that. I love that they were like, oh, we're gonna take that aspect.
I remember hearing it in the
Um,
men's room, or at least her laughing and like I don't know. I
oh,
felt like a hand came out and touched me while I was peeing. No, I'm
oh,
just
um,
that wasn't Moaning Myrtle, that was just the
is there,
guy
that was
next
a
to me.
Republican
Yeah.
senator actually
Yes.
that you had an encounter with.
Yes.
Did you met him on Scruff, didn't you? Like, right?
Absolutely,
That
yeah. Yeah, totally. He wanted to meet in that bathroom specifically, so
yes, exactly. Uh so I would say then along with that too, which made it even more interesting is like in contrast to Tokyo Disney, where we had a really hard time finding merch. I found that the merch sizes, like apparel that they had there, was way more forgiving
okay.
at Universal. So that's why it was so interesting about like I don't think this was an issue at Universal. Pardon me, at Tokyo Disney Sea. Like I don't think I encountered any of this there. Um, so it's interesting that it happened there, but the clothing that they have there is way more accommodating
Yeah.
to people with tittle bitties and so that was like very interesting. Shorter lines for food, but the food
Ah,
also was shit. I mean,
yeah,
like vegetarian options were like pizza. Basically, it was like pizza, maybe
right.
like some other things like here and there. Um, but their churros were amazing.
Yummy.
But let me say that like Minions Land, cute. That ride sucked. It made us feel sick.
Mhm.
It kind of has a Flight of Passage feel to it, but not as good,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
Um Reed's favorite ride was the Jurassic Park ride, which
Okay.
I thought was very interesting.
Is it the boat
Well,
ride there or
yes. I just want to say and I enjoy it too. It very much reminds me of the dinosaur ride from Animal Kingdom, RIP. Um, except with water, essentially, right? It's like, yeah, it's like the Jungle Cruise mixed with dinosaur is how I would describe that ride. Those dinosaurs sometimes wouldn't wake up right away. Like we'd be coming around the corner and I'd be like, wake up. And
it's
all of a
like
sudden they'd be like, oh, I've been eating this whole time.
yeah,
What? And I'd be like, oh, they're sundowning, like but Reed loved that one. There was also this like real thrill roller coaster called the Flying Dinosaur that we had express passes that we could go on. And Reed is a bit afraid of heights. And I was like, I'm committed to doing it. My inner ear be damned. I took a Dramamine, like,
yeah.
let's see. And right before we are about to get on, Reed was like, will you hate me if I don't go on this? And I was like, don't worry about it. And they make you have this ticket as you're moving through because they don't want you to have your phone because
Uh,
they don't want you to drop it.
yeah.
Um, so I only had this ticket and she says, it says 2 people. And I was like, he got scared. And she was like, as if to say, like, that happens,
Yes, that does happen.
And the reason it's so scary is literally you get on it and oh boy, my thighs were strapped in there. I was some biscuits trying to get out of
Oh my
out of a tin,
god. Oh my
like
gosh.
everything else was fine, but that I was like, oh boy, this must be an interesting look because they literally make you Superman.
Yeah.
They put you in a Superman position. So you're like, oh. And as I was going up, I could see Reed sitting, waiting for me. And I went, Reed,
Yeah.
Reed. And he looked up and he was like,
And then you
and
throw up on him. You're like,
I know, and then I threw up. And I did not have a fun time on that ride. It was this is like so many turns. And I was like, when is it over?
yeah.
Essentially. And I got off and he's like, I'm so sorry. How was it? I'm like, it was awful. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so glad he didn't go.
Yeah.
Like, but I gave it a try,
That's important.
but I want to spend, and before I want to spend the rest of my time talking about Super Nintendo World because we went back 2 days, we were there for 2 days. And we spent most of the time in Super Nintendo World. But I want to say they have the rights over there for Hello Kitty. Like there's a little Hello Kitty
Mhm.
land. They have a Sesame Street characters over
Oh.
there. And I'm like, God, the licensing is wild in
Mhm.
Asia that they could have Sesame Street over here.
Yeah.
And that was really cute. Like we like went over there to just like check out the kids area and it's really adorable. But yeah, Super Nintendo World it's a sight to behold. The theming is so amazing. Um the there's like 3 different rides there and then they have like little substations where you get a band and then you use that to like collect points and it makes the noise that like in the Super Mario like "Ba-doop, ba-doop," and you collect those points and then when you collect enough you can go into this like almost like course where you get to do these interactive
Mhm.
games. And at one point we had done it and we had to trade off because Reed had forgotten his bracelet from the day before. So we were like using mine back and forth. But actually, it worked out really well because then we each got to film each other doing it. And the time he went is he was the only adult. He was with a bunch of children. And
Uh-huh.
so I want to post the video of him when he's listening to the instructions with all the children. And he's like doing the motions as they're doing it. And the other kids are like nodding along. And this woman that we were online with, she was like, I was unsure at first who you were with, and then I realized that you're with him. She thought I was like a mom.
Yeah. She's like,
And
which
I was
one of
like,
these
he's
is
my
your
child.
kids? Yeah. How old is he? Oh my gosh.
But had the immersiveness of it and the staff is so amazing. Every time you go in, they want you to go, here we go. Like they want you
Yeah.
to like and do like the Mario jump. Is so fun and just like it feels like you're inside of a Nintendo game. Like it
Love
is
that.
amazing. My favorite ride, the Mario Kart ride is super fun. The Yoshi one is the one that's meant for kids that can't go on like the more thrilling
Right.
rides, and it's super cute but very slow. But the Donkey Kong one is like, it's probably one of my favorite rides I've been on ever. It's kind of got like a Thunder Mountain vibe
Ooh,
to
okay,
it
yeah.
a little bit, but with like way more theming. I would say it's like, spoiler alert, it's like Thunder Mountain meets Indiana Jones, um, and
Okay. I see.
that's what I would say. The
I
theming
see.
of it was amazing. Um, the food over there, like they had some lassies, which were really good, and then they had this like bun that had soba noodles in it and like curry, and it was vegetarian. It didn't have a ton of flavor, but also it's meant for children, like so it
Yeah.
can't have like a ton of spice in it. But it was cool to like have a vegetarian option, and it was shaped like a turtle,
Yeah.
like a turtle shell for
Yeah.
Yoshi. Um, the characters are very interesting there because like you don't really, well, they lined up for like Mario and a few of like the more mainstay ones, but like you'd walk in and like Woody Woodpecker's just there and you can like go up to him and take a picture. You don't have to wait in line.
Yeah.
Hello Kitty. We saw Shrek,
Ah, yes.
and Yoshi too. Like you could kind of just like, oh, he's like your turn now, like come on over. So that was the same as like how it was in like Tokyo Disney, I
Yeah.
would say. I think I've but yeah, I'm glad we had the 2 days because we were so overwhelmed by how packed it was the first day we were at Super Nintendo. It was so nice to go back the second day and experience it again with less people there. Um, we were more curious that day too. Like we went into more like crevices and like
Mm-hmm.
checked other things out that we hadn't had an opportunity to the first day. I will say I am sad that we didn't know how much we are going to like the rides. We didn't know what ride we were going to like. I wish it would have been easier because we wanted to try to go back and get another express pass for Donkey Kong later on, and they were sold out.
Ah,
And a local knows to get as many of the express passes as they can. We didn't know which one was worth going on it
yes.
again.
Yes.
And I will say this also, this last thing, just to try to be helpful, is if you're going in there, I don't know if they were just lax about it because it was a lighter day, but we were kind of late for our express passes because they are timed in what we bought for Klook. But like we went to go do the Mario Kart one and it was past our time and they still let us in.
Like Disney kind of
Um
does that, I feel like.
yeah, like, and I'm sure if it was like the day before and it was a little more packed, they wouldn't honor it, but because it was like a lighter day, they were cool with it.
Yeah.
Um Overall, though, a great experience. Like I said previously, the music in it, I really like that point of view that Reed had, where it was like sometimes there were bangers on, and it was like, I don't want to hear this Taylor Swift banger right now. Like this is too much stimuli for
Yes.
me here,
Yeah.
and I totally agree. Like there's a reason I listen to like park music when I like cook
Yeah.
because it's just relaxing, right?
Yes.
Um, but we had a wonderful time. It was such a positive experience. Um, Wish it was a little bigger, but you know what? It's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got to go on Jaws, which is closed now, and
I know.
completely in Japanese. Like
And
just
was
the
it the
guy.
same?
Yeah, it was the same. I hadn't been there in forever, so whenever I go on Jaws, it reminds me of the movie Mallrats. I don't know if you've ever seen
Uh,
Mallrats. Okay, I love you because sometimes you see you're a gay man, but you're like, I've seen some straight man
I have seen a
films.
long time ago, but I know that, yes.
Well, you know that his dream is to get married in front of the chapel, and
Right.
yeah, and then
Yes.
in the end where they're like, what happened to them?
Yeah.
I always think of like, oh, Kevin Smith pulled that off by
Right.
like letting Universal do that.
Yes.
But it was super fun to be there and to just have the captain. He was amazing, just full out, do it in Japanese, and you just understand what's happening. Like you just are like, you don't have to speak Japanese. You're just like, he's being so emotive that like exactly what's happening. He has a gun and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like you remember, I was like, oh yeah, in the early 2000s, like we were fine with that, but now
Yeah.
it's like a little weird.
Yeah. If you're not
Like,
expecting it, you're like, wait.
yeah. Reed was like that dinosaur. I mean, that shark did look a little like,
Yeah. It's like,
he's a little he's like, is this my last? He coughed out dust,
yeah.
like,
He's like, this is my
but
last one.
it was fun. Yeah, we had a great time. You can absolutely do it in one day, but if you want to take your time, maybe do it in 2 days. I don't think we didn't need to stay at the park to have a great time.
Yeah.
Staying there, the hotels look cool.
Yes.
If you're a huge Universal fan, um, yeah. So
That's cool.
I
It
think that's
sounds
it.
like it's in line with the way the US ones in terms of like that original studio tour feel is kind of like gone now. It's just like the thrill rides, the immersive worlds, like that's sort of where it's all headed. It seems like that's where around the world globally is what everybody wants. So
I mean, it was opened in 2001, so it didn't even have a chance to
yeah,
be what the previous parks, were.
right.
Um, but yeah, it felt, like I do think there's like a modus operandum for like how some of they have like a Main Street, or a
Mhm.
Hollywood Boulevard, right? And it's like, oh, we're in San Francisco, oh, we're in New York,
Yes,
like they
yes.
have these kind of lands that they like want to stick to. And yeah, it's no different. They try to do as much as they can with their space, but yeah, it's the post era of what you were
Yeah.
of, it's the post 9/11
Yeah.
world. Look what,
That's
you know,
yeah.
uh, but what I will say, is that there are many things there that are distinctly Japanese. Like Conan is there, Conan the detective is there. Um, like there's a lot of Hello Kitty and Karumi. Um, and the fandom that you see, the like kitschy dressing up fandom that you see um in like Tokyo Disney, you see here as well. Like these people have their passes and they come here a lot, and some girls are wearing like their big heels,
Yeah.
Um so like that was cool, but it felt like we could get around the park like in a functional manner without everyone just taking a picture like all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I would recommend it. Two thumbs up.
Two
And
thumbs.
also maybe we'll go to it. Maybe we'll do this. We probably won't, but we also went to the Nintendo Museum, which is outside of Kyoto, I believe. And that was an amazing experience too. I highly recommend that as well. So it was a nice compliment to do like with Super Nintendo World.
Yeah. Nintendo fandom. Thanks everyone for going on our thrilling Universal nostalgic ride into the studios and the parks. If you would like to leave us a comment or a review, you can do so. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Grown Ass Kids Club, or you can leave comments on Spotify now. You can do it on YouTube. You can do it anywhere. We love to read them. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.
Bye. Dun-dun, dun-dun.
Insert
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
old animatronic like